They say geopolitics is somebody else's problem, until the grocery shelves thin out and the tap runs questionable. So let's run the actual arithmetic. 1 gallon per person per day, household of 4, 2 weeks. That's 56 gallons. Do you have them? And here's the open loop we'll pay off before this episode ends. What happens to all that careful stocking the moment the power goes out? Stay with the numbers. Let's open the spec ledger on water, because the government guidance is more specific than most people realize. Ready? Gov and FEMA both state, store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for several days for drinking and sanitation. The documented minimum floor is 3 days at 1 gallon per person per day. The documented target that actually buys you meaningful buffer is 2 weeks. Here is the household math. The marketing never runs for you. 4 people, 2 weeks, 1 gallon per person per day. That is 56 gallons of water before you account for a single modifier. Write that number down, but that 1 gallon figure is a floor, not a ceiling. Government guidance explicitly notes, consider storing more water for pregnant women, people who are sick pets, or anyone in a hot climate. In very hot temperatures, water needs can double. For context, a normally active person needs about 3/4 of a gallon of fluid daily from water and other beverages. So that 1 gallon per day guidance already builds in a sanitation buffer. But heat, illness, or pregnancy erodes it fast. Adjust your household number before you think you're done. Therefore, where do you source those gallons? Commercially bottled water in its sealed original container, stored cool and dark, is the documented safest and most reliable starting point in an emergency, but it carries an expiration date you need to honor. Observe the expiration date for store-bought water. The documented storage condition is a cool temperature between 50 degrees and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Now is a good moment to check the link in the description. Ready Hour from My Patriot Supply is the primary featured offer in the Kit Files series, and the description link takes you directly to their current catalog. Quick disclosure, if you pick anything up through the links in the description, this channel may earn a commission. That never changes what the evidence says. We will come back to where Ready Hour fits in the food side math in a moment. If you are filling your own containers instead of buying commercial bottles, the guidance specifies, use FDA-approved food-grade water storage containers. Keep them in that same 50 to 70 degree range, and replace the water every 6 months without fail. The reason rotation is non-negotiable. Household tap water has a limited shelf life of only a few days due to the growth of microorganisms during storage. Rotation and treatment are not optional steps. When tap water becomes suspect, treatment is your next line. Boiling is the documented gold standard method. Guidance calls for a full rolling boil for 1 full minute, keeping in mind that some water will evaporate. So account for volume loss in your people days arithmetic. The label must show between 5 and 9% sodium hypochlorite. The documented dose is 1/8 teaspoon per gallon of water. Stir and let stand for 30 minutes. Note that another source specifies 5.25 to 6.0% sodium hypochlorite as the documented safe range for that method. So confirm your bottle's label before use. But here is the boundary both boiling and bleach cannot cross. Distillation is the only home method documented to remove microbes that resist those 2 treatments. And it is also the only method documented to handle heavy metals, salts, and most other chemicals. If your threat is chemical contamination rather than biological, that distinction matters and your treatment plan has to account for it. One rule applies regardless of your water source or treatment method. Never ration drinking water unless authorities explicitly order it. Now the food side spec ledger. The documented floor is at least a several-day supply of non-perishable food, and the documented target is 2 weeks. Let's run the same people days math we ran on water. A household of 4 people over 14 days is 56 person days of food you need to cover. That is the number the pantry audit has to clear. This is a good checkpoint to revisit the link in the description. Ready Hour from My Patriot Supply packages their offerings by servings count. So when you land on their catalog page, the exercise is to convert their stated servings into actual calories per day for your household size. That is the number that tells you how many real person days the kit covers, not the serving count on the front of the package. The safety criterion is the seal. Commercially canned foods in metal or glass will remain safe to consume as long as the seal has not been broken, though quality is not guaranteed for the same duration. As a reference point on documented shelf life, canned vegetables carry a documented shelf life of 2 to 5 years, and they remain safe to consume after the use-by date, though overall quality and nutritional value may have diminished by that point. Therefore, stop discarding canned goods at the use-by date. The documented record is clear. The dates printed on food labels almost always refer to the quality and not the safety of the food. Most date labels show quality, not safety, with one hard exception: infant formula. For home canned foods, the documented guidance is different. Unopened home canned foods have a documented shelf life of 1 year and should be used before 2 years. That is a meaningfully shorter window than commercial canning, and the people days math has to reflect which type you're stacking. But storage location degrades shelf life faster than age alone. The documented requirement for canned and dry goods: store all canned food in a cool, dark, dry space away from furnaces, pipes, and places where temperatures change, specifically including uninsulated attics. Dry foods should be stored in their original packages or tightly closed airtight containers below 85 degrees Fahrenheit, with the optimal range again being 50 to 70 degrees. If your pantry runs hot in summer and cold in winter, the shelf life figures above are the ceiling, not the floor. Now we pay off the open loop. The scenario you are statistically most likely to actually face is a power outage. And according to Department of Energy data cited by USDA, weather-related power outages are up by 67% since 2000. The clock starts immediately when the grid goes down, and the documented windows are tighter than most households plan for. Your refrigerator will keep food safe for up to 4 hours during a power outage. Perishable refrigerated foods, specifically meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, and cut fruits and vegetables, must be discarded after 4 hours without power. The tool that tells you exactly where you stand: an appliance thermometer in both the refrigerator and the freezer, with the refrigerator confirmed at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, and the freezer at 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Without that thermometer, you are guessing. Therefore, the freezer is your real buffer, but only if the doors stay closed. A full freezer holds for up to 48 hours. Half-full freezer holds for only 24 hours with doors closed. That is a specific actionable number. If your freezer is half-loaded tonight, you have half the buffer you might assume. But if the outage stretches beyond those windows, there is a documented extension. 50 pounds of dry ice will hold an 18 cubic foot freezer for 2 full days. That is a purchasable, concrete number worth knowing and sourcing before you need it. Dry ice availability varies by region, and a pre-identified supplier is part of the kit calculus. Finally, the People Days arithmetic does not stop at your front door. The documented preparedness guidance includes the workplace scenario. Be prepared to shelter at work for at least 24 hours. That means your total household kit calculation has to account for person days outside the home as well. At minimum, 1 day per working adult per location. If you want to start closing the gap between where your pantry sits today and where the documented guidance says it should be, the link in the description points to Ready Hour from My Patriot Supply. When you land on that page, do the arithmetic. Convert the stated servings into calories per day for your household. Divide by the number of people in your house, and check whether the resulting daily calorie figure actually supports activity, not just survival math on paper. That is the number the kit file series holds products accountable to. And it is the number that tells you what a kit is actually worth. The link is in the description, priced and detailed as of the time of recording. Next in the kit file series, we run the same people days arithmetic on go bag versus stay put scenarios, because the right answer depends entirely on whether the problem is coming to you or you're moving away from it.